Hello class, good morning. So in this video lecture, I'm going to discuss the population distribution and abundance in ecology. Okay, so let's begin our lecture. According to Ernest Holmes, it is certain that you cannot believe in abundance while identifying yourself with luck. Forget the luck and think only of abundance. So, geographic area where individuals of a species can be found and abundance, these are the number of people in a given area. So our ecologists, they study the factors that influence the distribution of abundance of a species. So that's the center of interest of our ecologists. Populations are dynamic with changes in distribution and also the abundance that is occurring over time and space. So the population is a group of interacting individuals of the same species who live in the same area. So the sexual reproduction and competition are example of the population interactions. And abundance can be expressed as population size, the number of people, or density, the number of people per unit per area. So that is the population size. So the total area that is occupied by a population is not always known. So it is not always clear how far the organisms or their gametes can travel. When an area is not completely known, it is what we call delimited based on the best available knowledge of the certain species. And affluence can shift over time and space. Some species are more variable than others. And the ability of a species to disperse, it, it varies. It varies to their capacity to adapt. Like plants, dispersal occurred through seed movement. Uh, I recall how the mangroves are dispersed through their seeds. So if you can see in the mangroves, their seeds are like it's like a stick, and when they are ripe and ready to germinate, they will fall from the mother tree and shoot the water. So that's how their characteristic that is their way to dispersal. And also one good example is the coconut tree. So if you can notice in the beach line or shorelines, there are plenty of coconuts because the seeds are can float even in water. So that is one of the survival characteristic of a coconut tree. So which can be very short distance. So how far can they travel? Whereas whales, for example, class, no, whales can move thousands of kilometers in a year. So it really depends on the nature and characteristic of a certain species and organism. Individuals of same species are difficult to distinguish. When new plants grow from root buds, aspen trees produce a clones, genetically identical copies. A group of aspens could be from the same person. So we're now talking class about clones with having the same genetic makeup. So the clones class can form in other plants and animals as well. Individuals are the result of a single fertilization. The example here is the aspen group, which is a single genetic individual or genet. If members of a genet are physiologically independent, each members is referred to as a ramen. So you need to remember this one class. So this may be included to your piece. And also the organism distribution and abundance are constrained by habitat, suitability, historical factors, and also the dispersal. So the suitability of habitat. So this one, the moisture, the temperature, the pH, the sunlight, nutrients, and other abiotic factors. And some species can tolerate a wide range of what we call a physical conditions. They have a more capacity to tolerate more heat, humidity. So environmental factors they can be able to withstand in order for them to survive. So while others have a limited tolerances. So that's why class there are some species who are extinct nowadays because they were lack of tolerance to adapt to the current or to the recent environment, which is that is very crucial to the survival. Herbivores, the predators, competitors, parasites, as well as pathogens, all have an impact on organisms. Okay, let's focus on the suitability of habitat. So we are talking about the abiotic and biotic. So their characteristics can interact in which to influence the distribution and abundance. Because of abiotic and the biotic factors, the actual range is never as large as the potential range. The species are frequently uh, weakest at the edge or transition of their ranges. And some species distributions are influenced by disturbance, events that kill or injure some individuals. So the word disturbance. So this could be mostly environmental factors, the changes of environment, and also factors in which there is a predator and prey relationship that creates this disturbance, allowing others to grow as well as to reproduce. So through this disturbance, this is something that hamper the growth and the reproduction of a certain species. So if you look at the in our ecology class, our previous lesson, there is a what we call the food chain. So the food chain, the predator and the prey relationship is designed to control a certain population in which there should be balance. But the moment that there will be some imbalance, there will be a what call this the problem that could occur, and the certain species could dominate the certain area, and that is something that more uh, not beneficial to the environment. There is in consequences for that. So if you can maybe not maybe next time if I can be able to show to you the video related to the problems of rabbits in Australia because their populations grow rapidly, and also the feral hogs in United States. I will verify what specific state for that in that area. But they have certain problems for the feral hogs because of the huge number of population of that they considered as pests already because they are already uh, the certain species are destroying the livestock as well as the crops of the farmers in that certain area. So so some species can only survive in areas where there are frequent fires. So it really varies less no, on the availability characteristics of a certain species. Next is historical considerations. The modern distribution of species is influenced by what we call evolutionary history and geological events. So, in terms of geological events, like for example, if you watch the movie in Ice Age, a cartoon movie, uh, that is a real life story class that was being put into a cartoon movie. So, in order for us to have some glimpse or idea on what happened during that time. So the major distribution of species during that time, because there is a ice age, the majority of the population of species moved to look for a place where it could shelter them, protect them. So that's why, class, no, the species that were um, cast or being shown to that movie, like the saber tooth and also the mammoth, that are currently are extinct already. So those are example. So polar bears, for example, evolved from brown bears in the Arctic. So because of their inability to disperse through tropical regions, they are not found in Antarctica. So that's why, class, no, the polar bears, their white coat, are adaptable to the uh, ice environment, in which their prey cannot be able to determine them, or they can camouflage to their environment, and they can be able to penetrate to their prey. While brown bears are more thriving in the mountainous areas because they are blended in the land. So we're talking about dispersal. So the dispersal constraints can prevent species from reaching a suitable habitat areas. So what could be this example of constraints in dispersal? So for example, in Hawaii Island, have only one native mammal, the hoary bat, which can fly, and humans have significantly increased species dispersal. So though a species may be capable of living in a given area, it will not do so unless it can reach its what we call dispersal aid in the process, because there is an aid now. They are being assisted by much more evolved and higher intellectual species like us. Population density can be affected by dispersal and as well as vice versa. The density to the dispersal and also the density of it. In response to crowding, many aphid species develop wing form. So that's their way, no, for them to equip to be able to this. So it gives them capability for a dispersal. Geographic range, the entire geographical area in which a species can be found. And many species have a patchy population distribution across their geographic range. The what we call the geographic range includes areas occupied at all stages of life. Monarch butterflies, for example, migrate long distance between their summer and winter habitats. So, like for example, class the I'm used to watch Discovery Channel, and I watched a certain series when they feature a tuna and also salmon, and how they were able to disperse their population. So it's quite it's truly magnificent to witness and be able to witness in video. How much more you can be able to witness it on the actual scale. It's how marvelous it was. So it is difficult to locate all of the life stages and ranges of some species, because they travel. Uh, there are some species that can travel the whole world because they are adapting to a certain environment. Like the birds, I cannot recall what specific bird, no, but they traveled the whole the whole world because they are catching up with the weather. That is how they will be able to. That is their part of their dispersal nature. The abundance of a species can vary across its range. Population density is highest in the center of what we call range for some species. So that is what we call the range where their population can be able to multiply higher. So within that range, there is what we call optimal environment that promotes their growth and their reproduction. Because of the certain environment, we're able to help them preserve their energy, and by preserving that enough energy, when they have abundant of energy through the nature of the foods that are available, they can now be able to reproduce. That's the process class now. So individual dispersion within a population is determined by the location of essential resources, competition, dispersal, and behavioral interactions. The dispersion, the spatial distribution of individuals within a population, and individuals are evenly spaced and regular. Competition results in regular dispersion. So there is a certain competition. So that this is somehow common, no, to the animal kingdoms, especially in Pride of the Lions, in which some of the young males fighting for their rights to be the leader and to be the alpha of the clan, or of the group. So that is there is a competition among them because they are fighting for the territory, fighting for the food, and because that is their natural characteristics and design. The most common pattern is clump, the herds due to patchy habitats and its resources. So cooperative breeding, this one occurs in a highly quality territories, highly quality, where young birds postpone breeding and instead assist their parents in raising more offspring. The high quality sites attract more birds, which can lead to a clump dispersion. So the population, this did not allow to the population to go out within that range, but rather they are being invited or they are being promoted to be within that organization or within that environment in which their population growing because they are helping each other to thrive. Area-based counts, distance methods, the mark recapture studies, the niche modeling. So this one that I mentioned can be used to estimate the population abundances and distribution. Individual organisms counts in a population are frequently difficult or impossible for us to count, especially if it reached to a millions of numbers of species. So to estimate the actual abundance or absolute population size, there are several methods that are being used. So relative population size, the number of people in one time period or location in relation to the number in another. The next is the estimates are based on data that is assumed to be proportional to absolute population size. And examples include the number of hogar tracks in a specific area and the number of fish that were caught per unit of effort. So there are a lot of certain things that can be used to count the population. Area-based tally, this one, is being used to estimate the abundance of uh, immobile organisms. So what are the example of immobile organisms? So like trees, they are not moving, but they are part of the living organisms. Individuals are counted in a variety of ways. The counts are averaged to estimate the population size in quadrants. The distance methods. This one is individuals' distance from a line or point are converted into abundance estimate. The line transects. The observer travels a long line and counts individuals and their distance from the line. So you walk and then you count. And at the end, you will be able to measure or tally the numbers that you were counted on the distance that you being traveled. Next is mark recapture studies used for mobile organism. A subset of individuals is captured and marked or tagged and then released. So this one are commonly can be seen in Discovery Channel, especially when they capture a tortoise or family of turtles in the ocean, and then they will be able to place a tag on that certain animal. At a later date, individuals are captured again, and the ratio of marked to unmarked individuals is used to estimate the population size. Next is the niche modeling. Physical and biological conditions required for a species to grow, to survive, as well as to reproduce. So this is what we call physical and biological conditions. So the moment that these requirements are met, the growth, the survival, and the reproduction of a certain species will flourish. The niche model forecasts a species distribution that is based on the conditions at a known habitat. So class, for our reference, you may also visit this certain website so that it will be able to give you some, to equip you with more information. Okay, class, so that's the end of my lecture. I hope that you have learned something that you can be able to apply to your certain field of interest. Thank you and have a great day.